This is Megan Carter Orlando from the SESAR team. In this tutorial, you will learn how to customize and download a batch registration template from SESAR, the System for Earth Sample Registration. This batch template is a simple spreadsheet that can be used to register multiple samples and document multiple samples in SESAR at one time. This is the most commonly used registration mechanism. So let's get started. First of all, the URL for SESAR is www.geosamples.org. To begin registering samples, you must first log into SESAR. The Login to SESAR button is on the top right corner. If you have not yet created a SESAR account, please select the New User option on the far right. There is another tutorial about how to get an account in SESAR. Please see that to learn more about how to get started. So once you've created an account and logged in, you will come to this My SESAR dashboard. My SESAR is the central command center for everything you can do in SESAR. This is where you will come to register samples, to view or edit sample metadata, and to take advantage of sample management tools such as creating labels and creating groups. You will see that there are a number of tabs across the top, and that there are a number of quick links in these three boxes in the middle titled Registration, Samples, and My Account. In order to register samples in a batch registration format, you first need to download a batch registration template. You can do so by clicking this quick link on the left-hand side that says Download Batch Registration Template. Once you click the link, you will be sent to the Batch Sample Registration Template Creator. Here, you first need to select which user code you would like to use to register your samples with. Remember, a user code is the unique code that you selected when you first created a SESAR account, and it's a series of numbers or letters that will prepend every IGSN assigned to your samples. Most users will only have one user code, so there will be no option or no choice to make here. Next, you must select what type of object you are trying to register. Only one object type is allowed per batch. Examples of object types include cores, dredges, individual samples, and more. For definitions of object type, please see the SESAR website. You must also select whether or not these samples, the metadata associated with them, should be public or private. You can keep your sample metadata private for as long as you would like and make the sample metadata public in the future should you choose to do so. So let's say I would like to register a core. Based on the object type you select, a list of metadata fields will appear below. And based on the object type that you select, certain fields will be default selected or not selected. So as you can see here, this is the list of all possible information you can enter about samples in SESAR. And you can see that there are some default fields that you cannot uncheck. There are descriptive fields. There are fields related to the location of sample collection. There are fields related to how the sample was collected and when the sample was collected. There are also curation fields, which refer to where the sample currently resides and who to contact should someone be interested in learning more about the sample or perhaps even getting a piece of the sample for another analysis. So you can see if you scroll over these fields, there's a definition that comes up in yellow for each of them. So that gives you a better sense for what each of these fields actually is. You will also see that there are some fields that have asterisks. Now we put these here because we wanted our investigators to understand which fields are actually searchable fields in the SESAR catalog. So we highly encourage that you fill out, at the very least, those fields that have an asterisk in order to make your samples more discoverable. You should go about selecting which fields you think you would like to enter regarding your samples. Keep in mind that just because you select a field here in the template creator, that doesn't mean that you actually have to fill it out in the template. Likewise, if you forget to include a field here that you find later that you would actually like to enter, you can just insert a column into the template and make sure that you add a column header with this exact name, and this prevents you from having to actually download a new template. So once you are satisfied with the fields that you have chosen, so let me just choose a couple more here. I think I would like to have a sample description, maybe a comment about my samples. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I want. So once you have selected all of the fields that you're interested in, you click this button at the bottom that says Submit to create template. And when you do so, you will get a zip file that is downloaded to your computer. So here are a few tips to think about when downloading a SESAR batch template and when filling out the template. First, you can register as many samples as you would like in one batch as long as they are of the same object type. You can find SESAR vocabularies for fields like object type at www.geosamples.org/help/vocabularies. If you do not find what you are looking for in the existing vocabularies, please contact us at info@geosamples.org to discuss. One of the strengths of SESAR is the ability to define parent-child relationships. This means that you can register, for example, a parent core and then register the subsections within the core and link those subsections to the parent core to define the hierarchical structure. This structure will show up in the SESAR interface so that you can discover child samples at any time. The one caveat, though, is that you must register parent samples first. The reason you need to do that is so that you can obtain the parent IGSNs first and then include those in the SESAR batch template that you use to register the child samples. I will talk about that more in the video about completing the SESAR batch template. As I also mentioned before, the amount of sample information required when registering samples in SESAR is very minimal. Only sample name and object type are actually required, but we encourage you to include as much metadata as you can. Samples are more discoverable in the SESAR catalog if you provide more metadata, and we really want to facilitate the reuse of the samples themselves, so the more metadata, the better. In order to help you understand what fields are actually searchable in the SESAR catalog, we denote those fields with asterisks in the SESAR batch template creator page. So we encourage you, if possible, to include at least these fields. Also, you can have a field in the template that you do not fill out. So, as I already told you, once you have selected all of the fields you would like to have in your SESAR batch template, you click Submit to create template, and when you do so, a zip file is downloaded. This zip file contains 2 files within it, and these are discussed in more detail in the How to Complete a SESAR Batch Template tutorial, so I encourage you to view that. Thank you for watching this tutorial on how to download a SESAR batch registration template. For help with completing the template and uploading the template, please see our other videos. If you have questions or comments at any time, please contact info@geosamples.org. This is Megan Carter Orlando with the SESAR team.